Amazing international news, all hot off the press. I'll even use a CNN article just to show how hot off the press this one is. So we got CNN, the mouthpiece of the American government, and they are here to denounce the bad thing said by the Israeli man. Let's check it out. Surely they are on the side of the Palestinian people. They are here to help and defend the poor Palestinians against the evil Israeli aggressors. Let's check it out. The Israeli finance minister argued during like a speech that a talk that he was giving. Was it in Israel? I thought it was in Germany or something. No, it was in Paris. So he was in Paris and he gave like a speech or something where he said there's no such thing as Palestinians, more or less. He said, who was the first Palestinian king? What language did the Palestinians have? Was there ever a Palestinian currency? There is no such thing as a Palestinian people. Palestinians were invented in the past century. Wow, totally epic destruction of Palestinians. They don't exist anymore. It's like, even if it were true, it wouldn't matter. They were there first. Your claim to like living in the place where you live is not based on whether you had a king there or not. It's based on the fact that you were there. So it doesn't matter at all. It's just classic European colonialist talking points. Like, we're going to create this standard of what constitutes being allowed to basically be a people or a nation or whatever, that just so happens to conveniently exclude the people that we are conquering, and that gives us like the right to conquer them. You know, the Americans did it, the Australians did it, the Europeans did it, everywhere. It's the same. You know, like, oh, we find these people, let's look for something wrong with them. They have agriculture? Okay. Well, they might have agriculture, but they don't have big cities, right? That makes it okay for us to conquer them. Or if they don't have agriculture, you point at that and you say, that makes it okay for us to conquer them. And, you know, that eventually like builds up and up and up until you get to the point where it's like, do they have a king? Do they have their own language specifically named after them? It's especially like ironic because he talks about their language when the Zionist movement literally like constructed Hebrew in order to legitimize themselves, a language that before that was not spoken, was not a living vernacular language at all. Pretty great. But yeah, it's just, you know, generic colonialist talking point sort of thing. And of course, Israel's allies come out and they're like feigning outrage. Oh, we hate this. And also, by the way, he gave the speech like in front of a map that showed like Jordan and the West Bank as being part of Israel. So, you know, pretty classic colonialist thing, the massive like drive for endless expansion. But even if they weren't wanting to expand, this is something these people always like the Americans who are announcing this, for example. This is a CNN article, you know, this is mainstream US media, like, oh my God, that's so horrid what they're saying over there. It's just so obnoxious that it has to get to this level before it starts becoming too much for them. They're like, hey, this is bad PR, you guys gotta stop that. Like, it wasn't bad enough for them, you know, that they had conquered, you know, like 70% of Palestine. It wasn't bad enough for them that they've been occupying the West Bank and like keeping people from Gaza in a concentration camp. You know, the settlements, that none of that was enough for them. What crosses the line is when he's like, Palestinians don't exist. As if that like meaningfully changes anything. As if it's like a really meaningful escalation from everything that's been happening beforehand. Who gives a shit? Whether they think Palestinians exist or not, they've been doing all of this shit to them. You know, people like supposedly conciliatory leaders have been doing it. Religious leaders have been doing it. Doesn't matter if the prime minister of Israel, if the government of Israel is a supposedly liberal one or a right-wing one, they all oppress the ever-loving fuck out of Palestinians to varying degrees, but in a way that is still obviously depriving the Palestinian people of their homeland, and in a way that always furthers the Israeli settler colonial project. So this is not a meaningful escalation. It's not like it's just people who are on board with this, right? It's people who are allied with Israel, who help Israel do what it does, who fundamentally are against the liberation of the Palestinian people, just being like, oh, whoa, stop right there. That's a bit bad for PR, guys. Come on, calm it down a little bit. It's going to make it hard for us to support your continued genocide of Palestinians if you keep talking like this. It's so fucking dishonest. Oh no, I can't believe it that we've been unconditionally supporting Israel with $5 billion in military aid and like massive diplomatic cover because it's useful for our geopolitical interests in the region for like, you know, 50, 60 years. How could that possibly embolden them to like demand more and more and more and to say increasingly crazy shit when we were already enabling them to do crazy fucked up shit to Palestinians, but that was like within the realm, you know, that we could reasonably come up with some excuses for or like use like generic talking points to support. This is going too far, my friends. Man, look at the framing here. Like in CNN, like Hamas released a statement and look at how they frame it. Hamas, the militant Palestinian Islamist movement that runs Gaza and calls for Israel's destruction. It's like just telling you like, these guys, They're bad. They're bad. And Hamas said his comments clearly reflect the fascist policies of colonial settlement expansion and forced eviction of the Palestinian people, on which the occupation state was founded, in reference to Israel. Yes, that's 100% true. I guess, like, when they say something that's correct, they have to, like, preface it with, like, some sort of denouncement of them, so that people are primed not to take what they're saying seriously, even when it clearly is true. Yeah, Hamas, these really, really, really bad guys. Look how bad they are. They said something that is simply objectively true, but they're bad. Like, the map was fucking half of the course as well. And just, by the way, even if the map only said that half of Palestine was for Israel's exclusive ethnic use, it wouldn't be okay. Just letting you know. The two-state solution is also a settler colonial solution. Remember. So yeah, I just wanted to cover that real quick. Obviously, these guys are more quote unquote radical, but it's good that they are out there saying shit like this, because they say the quiet parts out loud. They make it impossible for Israel's defenders to defend Israel. And that is a good thing, because they're not sitting there hiding behind like the usual bullshit faux progressive talking points. They just come out and saying it, and that is going to make it increasingly difficult for Israel's allies to defend Israel, which in the long run is probably going to result in Israel losing some degree of international legitimacy and support, which might help, especially with the noble efforts of our brothers, the extremely religious Haredi guys who are leeching off the state to study the Torah. We love those guys.